Well, hello and welcome back to another football season. And of course, I'm Tim Petrowich for Dateline Marion, and it's that time of year again as we start our weekly visit with Marion head football coach Kerry Martin. And we say this every year, and to a certain extent, it sounds like a broken record, but it also does come around pretty quick. And so here we are. It's that time of the year again. Kind of hard to believe it got here so quick.
Yeah, it's funny how quickly it comes. Like the longer you coach, the faster it gets here. I probably said that last year too. But it is interesting, and how much time you think you have, and then the next thing you know, it's spring, and then you're thinking about summer stuff, and next thing you know, we do summer workouts at camp, and here we are, just game week already.
Well, we haven't really had a whole lot of chance to talk this year. It's kind of been different because usually I get out here and talk to you a couple times during preseason camp, but let's talk a little bit about that because, the rules change every year on how much time you can spend with the kids, and different things happen. So how has the off-season gone for the Wildcats?
It's going really well. We have a really good group of seniors. They're good leaders. They're very accountable. They're very responsible. They're fun to coach. There's a lot of pleasure that comes into the coaching profession when you've got great kids to work with every day, and those off the field things are probably just minimal stuff. And so I'm blessed right now to have a good group, and they get it, and they work hard, and they care about the program, I think, and they're invested in what we're doing, and they really seem to buy in, Petro. So I really enjoyed this off season with this group of kids.
I want to talk about that because when we were doing media day last Saturday and we were taking the picture of the seniors together, one of the other media members is like, man, there's a lot of you guys this year, and then last year there were only a handful of seniors, and this year you've got 21.
Big difference, yeah. And I think a lot of coaches would tell you it's not about how many you have, it's about the talent that group has. So you could have 10 super seniors, and that would be better than having 22 so-so seniors. The good news is my seniors are big in number. They are big heart. There's certainly some talent there, and they play well together, and they care about each other, and that goes a long way, and especially in high school sports, but really any level of sports. But so they're not just big in number; they're big in a lot of areas, big in heart, and I just like working with them. I think they are the kind of group that's easy to coach. You don't have to repeat the same things over and over. They're starting to get things, and so it's a good bunch, and they've made the off season a real pleasure.
Of course, one of the trademarks of the Wildcats for the last several years has been the high-octane offense. Get up, run a lot of plays, move the ball, and some key parts of that offense are gone to graduation. Those few seniors included some pretty good players in Caden Hilliard, Jaden Lacey, David Fletcher, some key players that are missing, but you've got some players who are coming back who contributed, especially on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, I think anytime you lose the big play player like a Jaden Lacey or a Caden Hilliard, that's a big deal. They were score with one touch kind of guys. That makes you look really smart as a play caller, and it was nice to know that you could give the ball to one of those two guys anywhere on the field at any time during the game and they could score. I'm not saying we don't have that potential, but they have proven that as juniors and then certainly as seniors. Jaden, since he was a sophomore. David Fletcher did a nice job last year playing as a one-year quarterback senior and did a nice job delivering the ball to people. We lost some good linemen last year. We lost Michael Cantrell and Brennan Pecourt and some really good veteran linemen. So we know that we've got some pieces of the puzzle we got to replace. We may not be able to replace them with one guy, but we certainly will be able to replace them with two guys. Drake Gravatt and Josh Schmidt at running back, Stuart Atkinson, Bryce Cavanis, James Bittner at wide receiver. We've got a couple of other linemen who worked on the defensive line last year, Justin Lambert, Quentin Patterson, James Gunn. They're going to step in and fill some offensive line roles for us. So certainly this class may not be as talented individually, but I love the makeup of this group, and I love the way they could kind of handle things. And they're going to bring their own signature, I think, to this football team, their own signature to the offense, and certainly to the defense as well.
Your teams have had success in the past especially in the running game with guys who aren't that big play type of player, who just go out there and grind it out and work hard. And they may not pick up 60 or 70 yards at a pop, but when they touch the ball, it's 8, 10, 12.
That's big, and that's what I think these guys can do for us. Not that they don't have any big play potential, but I think they're more like that kind of runner. And we've had a lot of those. You're right. I mean, we've had a number of guys like that, and I think we've seen some good things out of Jake Welch and Noah Mofield in the backfield as well. So we're excited about the group. It's more of a collective running back by committee kind of situation. So, and that's okay. You know, we've got a lot of these guys playing both ways, but it's nice to be able to see Drake come off the field from defense and Josh Schmidt go in and handle the load. And if Noah Mofield's on defense, Jake Welch can start that offensive series. And offensively, we'll be rotating some linemen, keeping people fresh, and that's going to make us a better football team.
I want to talk about that in just a minute, but one of the things I noticed, last year at the end of the year, we saw, throughout the course of the year, in some of the lopsided games or games you were in control, we saw two different guys at quarterback, Boston Ziegler and Lucas Will. And I came to practice, I came to the media day, and I noticed something that a lot of people aren't going to look at, but you talk about team workouts in the off season, but that's a different Boston Ziegler than left football last year, or even was on the basketball team in the spring. He's done a lot of off-season work.
Yeah, he looks really good, and I have really high expectations for these two quarterbacks. I think you're going to see us use both quarterbacks this year. Boston is the starting quarterback. He's the senior. He's lost some weight, gained some speed. He's a great kid, a great student athlete. Makes good decisions with the football, knows the offense, and really coachable. Lucas Will be the junior, much like Jake Schmidt was to Isaac Baker and other people. I think I look for Jake to be able to. I look for Lucas to step in like Jake did and be able to play some series for us. He'll bring his own kind of signature to the offense. He's a little bit different than Boston. But I think they're both going to be great. I think they're both going to bring certain things to the table. I think they can both throw it, they can both run it, but I think they have their own unique style and how they do that. So we're blessed right now to think that we've got two good young quarterbacks. Barring the truth is they don't have a ton of experience, but man, they've had a really good summer and they've really developed.
And you said Lucas has a little bit different type of a game than Boston, and he's maybe a little bit more athletic, but I noticed this in basketball, and I think that's going to carry over to football, and you may disagree, but you may see this as a good point. Boston's really cerebral.
Very much so, and there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, I love players that can think. I mean, you've got the players that can play off ability and make plays, and sometimes you just can't coach that. But I also like the guy that can pick the best thing in that situation. We've given our quarterbacks some reads this year. I've given our quarterbacks a little more wiggle room to make some decisions on the field. We give them a play, and they're going to make some decisions off that play package, and we trust them both to do that. And I think it's just a different little wrinkle to our offense. It isn't that David and Jake Schmidt and Isaac Baker couldn't have done that too. We just didn't do it as much. And we're going to kind of do that a little more this year, and I think our quarterbacks are both capable of handling it. And certainly Boston has proven as an athlete, in all the sports he plays, to be a really headsy kind of player.
We've talked about two quarterbacks. We've named several kids as far as running backs. You've named several kids as receivers, and you talked about the depth that you have on the offensive line, and I'm sure that rolls over to the defensive line as well. One of the things I've heard a lot of talk about this team is, the different people that have talked about preseason, there seems to be more depth on this team across the board than maybe you've had in the last few years.
Well, in certain positions, that's true. We're still not super deep on the line, and we're going to have some offensive line guys play defensive line guys play some offense. We'd love to be able to platoon our two lines perfectly, just offense, just defense. That will not happen this year. We're going to have to, work guys on both sides, but we've done that before. When Tucker Sullivan a couple years ago was a senior, he had to play some defensive line for us. But I think it's a good problem, because I think in some ways a kid like James Gunn is almost too big, too strong, too athletic, just play one side of the ball.
Sure.
And Justin Lambert and Quentin Patterson and different guys like that are going to help us by playing on both sides of the ball. So, maybe we're just finding a way to get our best athletes on the field a little more, and we're good with that. But yeah, I think in some positions we're looking at hopefully having 2 deep at each position, and we've got some guys that can play a backup role, and I think they're going to play a big role for us. So we feel good about where we're at. Have a good, strong senior class. We have about 14 or 13 juniors that are all pretty good players, and they're going to add some depth to our team. And we're looking forward to it.
I think one thing with all the juniors and seniors that you've got, maybe you're not going to have as many sophomores that are in those defensive roles. You've brought a lot of sophomores into the defense this year. Maybe the defensive players are going to have a little more experience.
Defense returns 9 starters. If you count James Gunn, who played a lot, as the 10th, we can almost say we've returned 10 starters on defense. That's got to be a benefit for us. I mean, we feel like last year we came back with quite a bit of offense returning, no defense. We had 9 new starters last year. This year we returned the defense as the experienced side of the ball, and quite frankly, I think coaches sleep a little better knowing their experiences on the defense.
Well, because of the way this offense runs, I mean, you use so many kids and so many of them. You always find lightning in a bottle somewhere on offense.
Yeah, that's the hope. We hope we can get off to a good start against Rochelle because they're a really good program, really good football team, known for their defense, and our schedule is very difficult. Again, the first 3 games they include 2 semifinalists from a year ago in the IHSA playoffs. So we know we've got a pretty big situation facing us right out of the gate as far as good defenses, well-coached teams. But we have confidence in our system. It's always been good to us. We're going to try to get the ball to the guys that we need to get it to, and our offensive coaches do a great job of getting our guys ready. And no doubt our defense should be better, but our offense has got to score points.
One of the most solid parts of your game last year was the special teams, and you lost your big kicker in David Fletcher. So have you got someone that's been able to step in and fill that role?
Yeah, Tyson Stecklin returns. He's a senior soccer player. He played for us as a freshman and sophomore, played football and soccer, and he's back as both punter and place kicker for us, and he has a really good leg. He's as good a kid as we have in that school. Great character, great student, great athlete, and we are looking forward to having him taking care of our kicking duties, because David was so good at what he did and really took ownership of it and had a couple of good years kicking for us. And now we were looking at having nobody coming back, and then Tyson decided to come back out, and that's going to be a big, big void filled right there.
You've already mentioned a couple of teams on your schedule right off the bat. You open with 2 teams you haven't played before.
Right.
Rochelle, fortunately this year they're making the long trip to Marion. It's about 6 hours to come down here, but it's a team that went pretty deep in the 4A playoffs last year. They were 8-4, and they've been a playoff team for the last several years. So right off the bat, you start with a tough opponent.
Yeah, they're good. They're well coached. They're a very disciplined program. They're a ground and pound kind of football team. They play big, tough defensive guys, and so it's going to be a neat contrast of styles in some ways between what they do and what we do, and that makes it exciting as a coach to look at the matchups there and what they can bring to the table. So we know that the early part of the schedule is tough. Then of course the South 7 is always tough and wide open this year, and so we got a lot of exciting games on the schedule. We got 4 big games at home starting this Saturday, and we look for the Marion faithful to help support us and make some of those road games feel like home games, and look forward to getting after it. Is there a difference? I mean, besides the obvious difference, is there an advantage or a disadvantage to opening up on Saturday instead of Friday? I mean, not that I know of. I think we're going to have one less day of preparation for the next game, but certainly we have one more day of preparation before this one, so it's all kind of a trade-off. But we've played a lot of Saturday games in the past. We've had anything from lightning outs to referees not showing up situations, and we've had playoff games on Saturday, and we've traveled to Galesburg and played on a Saturday. And so, I mean, for us, it really isn't, we haven't really even talked about it. have it scheduled, play the game, and see what happens.
Now, I know you don't, we have to look at the whole schedule because it's the preseason. We don't want to, get ahead of ourselves, but I mean, you start looking at teams, and we know Rochelle's pretty good. Jerseyville's been a playoff team the last few years, and then Highland was undefeated through the regular season last year. So, again, you talk about those first 3 games, and it's 3 tough games for the Wildcats.
It really is, and it's not gotten any easier over the years. I mean, we've the last several years we have started off with really good football teams. I think a Haywood County team that ended up 10-2 in the state of Tennessee. Champaign Central, they went to the semis or quarterfinals. Champaign Centennial, which had a Division I quarterback, the year we played them. So, the schedule gets tough. I mean, it starts right off the bat. I think the good news is that really, I think, creates a sense of urgency among the players and staff to get our guys ready, and I think that's paid dividends in the conference races. But certainly we got to get out of the gate quick.
And let's talk a little bit about the conference. We know year in and year out, Althoff is good. We know Centralia is usually pretty good. Carbondale is a much improved team this year. Cahokia, it's always hard to tell. I heard they lost a couple of players to transfer, but they always seem to find more somewhere, and they've got some great athletes, and they're and even the games against Mount Vernon, which you think it's Mount Vernon, but they always seem to get up for the Wildcats.
Yeah, I just think the conference is wide open. I think Althoff went through a 2 or 3 year period. They kind of dominated and had a super class of kids full of Division I type athletes, both basketball, football athletes. I think there's greater parity again, like there was 4, 5, 6 years ago. So I look for it to be a wide open race. I think every conference game is going to be a battle, and we expect that. We're used to that. That's the way it's been. So we're just hoping we can get in there and be competitive every week and continue to improve throughout the season and stay healthy, and hopefully have a good run and do some great things for our fans.
So you've been coaching for a couple years now.
Just a couple.
Still get butterflies for week 1?
Oh yeah. I don't think that'll ever go away. I remember as a kid, I heard Johnny Carson say one time after all the years he had done the Tonight Show, and here he is at the end of his career doing the Tonight Show, and he said before he came out behind that famed multicolored curtain, he got the same butterflies. And I used to think as a kid, I'm like, he's still nervous? How can he still be nervous? But no, I think you're almost conditioned now. And if I wasn't that way, I'd be very concerned. Like, I need to have those butterflies to know that I'm ready.
So what you're saying is when the butterflies don't come, you'll announce the Kerry Martin farewell tour?
Yes, I think the first time I don't feel butterflies will be the first time I'm no longer coaching and just watching the Wildcats.
It's Rochelle, the Hubs. I found it interesting. The Hubs are coming to the Hub of the Universe.
The Hubs are coming to the Hub of the Universe. How ironic is that?
And it's at 1 o'clock this Saturday, August 25th. And I'm sure there'll be lots of pregame food and festivities and a lot of fans here on a Saturday afternoon. Might be the only game on Saturday in Southern Illinois.
Yeah, there's no college game, there's no high school game other than ours. The only show in town, so let's get out and cheer them on.
All right, it's Coach Kerry Martin, the Marion Wildcats for Dateline Marion. I'm Tim Petrowich.